Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dokkan battle video, and today we are going to do a team building guide for LR, Vegeta, and Trunks. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you several team builds that you can do with this character, and boy, this character's got a pretty wide category. There's a lot we can do with this leader skill, right? And this character is probably the best unit in the game, so you definitely want to build some teams around him. So it is kind of cool that they are very flexible in the teams, so you can use a lot of different characters with them if you want to. So a couple of disclaimers I always like to say is I don't think for the most part there's always just one best team for every event in the game. You're going to constantly change it. So my goal in this video, just to show you some team setups. It doesn't mean that they're always like the 100% best ones to use, but I'm just going to kind of give you like a big list of characters that are very good on these teams, and you can kind of build the team you want. Just remember, the general idea in team building is you want to build out 2 rotations of units that are probably offensive and defensive, and that link together really well. And then you want 3 floating units that are either like support or utility type units that hopefully can survive in whatever type of content you're doing, right? So obviously the content is going to dictate what you run. You might not have the ability or flexibility to run all support units if they can't survive the content. You know, it's pretty hard to run support units and sell max. Not many of them can survive, but then you try to find units that can dodge and things like that, right? And sometimes you can find good supports that can do that. So let's look at the leader skill. So I'm actually not a fan of their 200%. Their 200% is actually pretty weak, but their others, the 170s, are fine. So Bond of Parent and Child and Future Saga. Now, Future Saga is kind of limited, but Bond of Parent and Child is just a ridiculous, massive category. Like, as a singular category, Bond of Parent and Child is up there with, like, Pure Saiyans. Like, there's just so many freaking good units on that category. It has a lot of coverage, right? And that's really, like, the best part of their leader skill. And then the extra 30% is Battle of Fate. And that's just kind of a bummer because Battle of Fate is not, like, a huge expansive category. So this is one of the few team building videos where I actually won't have many 200% units on it. The thing is, though, is that obviously Vegeta and Trunks themselves are on Battle of Fate. So like them two getting 200% can pretty much carry you even if the rest of the team is only getting 170. So in that aspect, it's not a huge deal, right? So I wouldn't worry about trying to do all Battle of Fate units on the same team. You're really going to just hamper your team building too much trying to do that. I think there are places where you can get some of those in and they're very good. But a lot of those units already have 200% leader skills, so it just depends. I would just focus on making good cohesive teams for this leader, and if they're 170, they're 170, and if they're 200, they're 200, you're going to be fine, right? So, I'm going to start by looking at some more traditional, like, super class builds. So, this is a build that pretty much is just all Bond of Parent and Child. Now, there's obviously some overflow in the Future Saga with a couple units, but the idea here is this guy, you want to run this guy on rotation. Like, he's ridiculous. He's built for slot 1, right? Now, what's awesome about this guy is he opens up team building because there are so many units in the game that look really good in slot 2, but not in slot 1. So this guy can kind of help cover up those units. Namely, one of those units being this one right here. I feel like these two is one of the best rotations in the game. They share 5 out of 7 links. And this unit is really bad in slot 1 defensively, but pretty darn good in slot 2 defensively. And they hit like a freaking truck. So I like those two as a rotation. And then Namek Goku, or not Namek Goku, sorry. Namek Goku's another one. And Namek Goku could work as well. But Carnival Goku, as a defensive stacking like guard unit, which also what the Vegeta and Trunks is, works very, very well. And they link very well. They share 5 out of 7 links as well. So I like those as like my rotations here. I think this guy always needs to be in the mix on this team, depending on what you're running. I think this guy can operate on rotation or floating. Now, in this example, I'm operating him floating, but the thing that's really huge about this unit releasing is this physical Gohan and then Int Majin Vegeta. They're basically only as good as the Trunks you can run them with. And on global, we haven't had a good enough Trunks for difficult content to like use them. So now, because this Vegeta and Trunks is considered a Trunks, and they are like the best unit in the game, they're viable for any content in the game. Now, that just made this guy infinitely better, and it made Int Majin Vegeta infinitely better. So those are good units to include on your team, because they want to be with the Trunks. Now, the reason why you can get away floating this guy, he always wants to be with the Trunks, but you're running Trunks on main rotation, so with this guy floating, you're always getting the benefit of his full effect. Now, the bad part about floating this guy is some of his damage reduction comes like per turn that he appears. So that's going to build a little bit slower if you're floating them. But I think you can get away with that in slot 3. Like, you just want those units to live. So as a slot 3, just like floating support and difficult content, that could work very well while you're stacking this guy's defense, and he's got guard and he's got revive, right? And then you've got this guy's going to be the offensive powerhouse of your team in slot 2. And then you've got these Trunkses on both rotations being very defensive and very offensive. Like, this is a very, very nice team build. Now, your other floaters are going to be more flexible, right? I've always liked this guy as a floating defense support. And he does have part of his passive that you want to be with a, whatchamacallit, Heavenly Events character. This character does happen to be Heavenly Events, I believe. I can double check that, but I'm pretty sure they are. Oh, they are not. I thought they were. Okay, so they're not. So on this build, you don't have any Heavenly Events, but that's fine. This guy really is just a floating defense and key support. I think operates well enough, and he's defense stacking as well. Because the Heavenly Events, it just increases his damage, so it's not like a huge deal, right? Well, I guess he does get some defense with it as well, but he still works. I've used him without Heavenly Events, and he's fine. Once again, these are flexible. It's going to be up to your preference. And then God Goku, once again, Bond of Parent and Child just being such a wide, vast category. Like, if this guy fits on the team, you throw him down. Because as long as you're facing Movie Boss or Pure Saiyan, you can slide this guy in, and he's basically a defensive wall, right? So this is a ridiculously defensive team that's going to get you through most hard content, like, pretty easily, right? Once again, you could debate this Gohan, like, there's other units you could throw in there, and I'm going to show you plenty of options, right? So let's look at some more team builds. And keep in mind, any units from these team builds, you can swap in and out, figure out the rotations you like, based on what your box, like, try to find the builds that you like, right? So here's another build. This one's more just like showcasing like kind of a Boo Saga-esque build, but once again, I don't know that I would do this exact team build as a team. This is kind of a way just to showcase more units and rotations. This here would be more like a complete team build. This is more like kind of just a smattering of things, but this would be like you run this guy on rotation, and then you run Int, Maj, and Vegeta. And they share enough links. I think they share at least like 3 links or something, but the big thing is this Maj and Vegeta getting damage reduction because you have a Trunks. You just keep them paired together. Now, Majin Vegeta, if you don't like him on rotation, you definitely could float him, just like we did with Physical Gohan in the other build. So floating Int Majin Vegeta isn't the worst idea, right? So we could go back to this first build, and maybe you don't like this AGL Gohan. Just float an Int Majin Vegeta. Sure, you're not getting a lot of support, but your whole team's going to have a bunch of defensive units that are very hard to kill, right? Which is going to make it pretty ridiculous for other content. And the same concept goes with this Physical Gohan. Even though they're floating, you're always going to have them paired with the Trunks that you need. Because since they're floating and we know we have Trunks on every rotation, you're always going to have it. You don't have to run them on rotation. So keep that in mind with Int Majin Vegeta. Very, very good unit you can run. You can float him or run him on rotation. I just wanted to shout out this guy. No, this guy definitely has aged a little bit. But this is a unit that is on Battle of Fate, so he is going to get the full 200% leader skill here, and he is quite powerful once he transforms into Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I would say it's just a little situational, right? Like, he definitely wouldn't be my first choice for the team, but if he's a unit you have, and you want somebody that's kind of got a little bit of offense, he does operate well in slot 2, so you definitely could, and he links well enough with Vegeta and Trunks, you could get away running him on rotation, right? So I just wanted to throw him out, and then these I'm just throwing out as other floating support options. So you got Version Z Goku, this Physical Gohan with his ZZA is pretty decent still. Xeno Vegeta, if you're running more Vegeta family units, this guy can operate because he's a very good support for Vegeta family. He stacks defense, right? Now these floating support units, you're going to have trouble with these in like Red Zone and stuff like that, right? Like this guy, if you have him on rotation and stack, you know, maybe against Cell Max you'd be okay because he's got type advantage, but I don't know even then. So you just have to be careful. This is what I'm talking about, where it's like, it's hard to always run support, right? Because in like Red Zone and Cell Max, like it's going to be tough to get away with some of these units. But if you're running more casual content, Dokkan events, Legendary Goku event, these floating supports are fine, right? And my mentality, like I said, is I think of what are my main rotations, and then I want floating support. So once again, I don't know that this would be like an actual team build I would run, but there are units from this team build that you might plug and play into maybe something like this. I would kind of use this more as like your skeleton, and then if you are missing some of the units here, kind of plug and play what you want to do in those spots, right? This one I wanted to throw out as kind of a fun like Time Travelers build. So on Bond of Parent and Child, there's actually a lot of Dragon Ball Heroes stuff. So what you could do, you could run a bunch of busted Heroes units. Now, this Zeno Pan is going to support the whole team except Vegeta and Trunks. but that's fine because she's still like a really good like dodge defensive unit in slot 3, right? Now, the rotations are going to be a little bit iffy on what you want to do. Obviously, your limit breakers could be a rotation. You could do all like Dragon Ball Heroes rotations and then you're floating Vegeta and Trunks, but that's honestly probably not what you want to do. So this would be more of like a fun team build, but I think this guy on rotation would be kind of interesting just because his counters and his attack is like ridiculous. Now, I think this guy and the Xenogoku, they lose just a teeny bit because I think part of their passive is like per Dragon Ball Heroes or Time Travelers on a team. Actually, no, I think this guy's full out because he's just Time Travelers. Yeah, this guy's actually not getting gimped at all. Like, this guy's at full power on this team because it's full Time Travelers. So I really wanted to showcase a team with Great Saiyaman 3. And Xenogoku's a very defensive unit, and he's only losing a teeny bit. What does he get per Dragon Ball Heroes? Yeah, so he gets an additional defense up to 100. And damage, no, he's not getting gimped either, because he only needs 5 Dragon Ball Heroes, so this guy's fully maxed out. So we have at least 5 Dragon Ball Heroes, and Time Travelers are totally maxed out. So Xeno, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and Great Saiyaman 3 actually operate at their best on this team. And then you got Pan here to float. You could float Limit Breakers, you could float Great Saiyaman 3, he could just be a slot 3 like ridiculous damage dealer, right? It all depends on how you want to run the team. It is probably still wise to keep Vegeta and Trunks on rotation in slot 1 because that's what they're built for. And then I think they would probably link okay with Xeno Super Saiyan 3 Goku, maybe only 2 or 3 links, but it might still be enough, right? And maybe he'd link okay with like a Xeno Vegeta or with a Limit Breaker Vegeta, but it's not going to be optimal. Like the Limit Breakers, you'd want Saiyan Roar. So if you don't like, if you're not going to do the Limit Breakers on rotation together, maybe you find different Time Traveler Heroes units you would rather float. But this is just kind of an idea, like something kind of fun that I wanted to throw out there. I don't think this would be an optimal team to showcase Vegeta and Trunks. Like, it's not the best linking for him, but it's just showing you, like, their leader skill is so flexible, you can just do shenanigans like this if you want to, right? Now I want to look at some future Saga specific builds. These builds are a little bit more concrete, a little bit easier to put together because it's a lot more limited team, right? When you're looking at bottom parent child, you got a list like this tall of like units that are good. I'll actually show that at the end here, and I'll just talk about like, yeah, these are all really good. These are some rotations you can try, all that kind of stuff, right? But here on this, say, like, Future Saga build, then, yeah, you're really featuring this guy on rotation. I think this guy on rotation is an LR. He's actually really good, really, really solid, right? This Trunks and Mai's getting an Easy A during this celebration, I believe, and they're a very good support unit. You definitely want to float them around. And then I could say float both of these Goku Blacks, because these Goku Blacks, they're not, like, support for Extreme. They're just support for, like, Future Saga. I believe this one is, what? Future Saga and something else. Time Travelers, which pretty much covers most of the team, right? Time Travelers wouldn't cover the Adult Gohan, but it covers these guys, which is the main thing that we want. So that would just be like some floating supports with some good like Future Saga rotations, and this is like a super class version, right? Now there are a lot of good extreme class units. They're not here quite yet, but they are coming. So basically this guy's getting an Easy A, this guy's getting an Easy A, and then this guy's bad. But I put him to represent there is an LR Merge Zamasu coming, right? So if you start getting those units, then we're talking like LR Merge Zamasu, and this guy is like a busted rotation. So you could run them as a rotation, then you could have this Vegeta and Trunks, and you could just put like another super class unit to pair with them. You would have to float another Vegeta and Trunks, right? And then you kind of run it from there. I think these guys is just like a floating orb changer that has a Ghost Usher. Like, that's pretty busted, right? I know you're used to running these guys on rotation, but you know, here's the thing with like these extreme units, they're not, whoops, oh geez, I did not mean to double tap that. With these extreme units, the thing is these are like big bad bosses units, and these androids are not big bad bosses. So in this type of team build, if you're running like Goku Blacks and Zamasus, I actually like the idea of floating them as an orb changer and then having the Ghost Usher. I think they're going to operate very well in that role as more of like a support unit, right? And then this is the same Goku Black from before, but brand new Future Saga support, very viable, very much worth running if you wanted to, right? So that's an example of like an extreme class build. Obviously the leader is not extreme class, but just showing you that, hey, you want to play some of these extreme units on like a, because here's the thing too, this is what makes me mad, is the 200% doesn't even cover like Goku Black. So like these Goku Blacks aren't even on the 200. It's only like the Zamasu, like the Merge Zamasu. This is Battle of Fate. So the LR, they're going to be 200 here, but not like anything, like even this unit isn't, because it's got Goku Black in the card. So I'm really bummed about that. Like I wish I wish whatever this leader skill was, like, had more 200% coverage. Now, obviously, ideally, you don't want to run this guy with Trunks and Vegeta as the lead anyways. You're going to want to run, like, an extreme class leader. So then you would get, like, a 200% extreme class leader at some point that would operate really well here, right? Okay, now, I just want to show off some... Okay, so these are some other just future Saga units that are also good options you could run. I think this Trunks is actually very good, very viable. I think the best slot for him is if you go back to this team build here. I would say if you don't like this LR or don't have him, put him right in this slot, and I think you're pretty good to go there. But I do like that AGL Trunks. I think he's very good. Obviously, Vegeta Blues. I didn't talk about any Vegeta Blues yet, and they are very good. So this guy's getting an Easy A, and he's very good. And then this guy already has his Easy A, and he's very good. The thing to keep in mind with these Vegeta Blues is they're really build-up stacking units, so they're not going to be very good in short events. So you want to use them only in long events, so they're a little bit more situational, right? This Trunks I throw out there just because he's still okay-ish, right? Like, he's okay. Until we just got this Dokkanfest Trunks and Vegeta, this was, like, the best Trunks on Global. Like, it's kind of sad, actually, because he's just, like, a banner unit Easy A. He's still decent enough to run, though. Like, so if you want to run these teams, maybe you're a newer player, you don't have a ton of these units, get this guy Easy A. He's still, like, very solid, right? He's not going to be able to do, like, red zone and stuff, like, all the time, but for most content, he's going to be fine, and he's still a solid little unit. This guy's super old with his Easy A, but you still can't deny the power of his counter. So if you need an extra Vegeta Blue, like, this guy could work. But I would say he's definitely, like, kind of third on the totem pole now. Like, I actually kind of like this one the best, and then I think I like this one the second best. I really want to get my hands and use this guy more after his Easy A, but that's kind of where I'm leaning just based on what I've seen, right? And then LR Goku Black, he kind of needs an Easy A, but just threw him out here just because, yeah, there's another Rose you could run if you wanted to, right? Now, what I'm going to do to finish the video is I want to show you all the bond of parent and child units you can run. But I literally could have made pages and pages of these. So rather than do that, I'm just going to go into my team page here and just show you like what we could do. So this, I believe I'm sorted by, yeah, I'm sorted by bond of parent child. So literally, you could look through this list and just pick out good rotations that you potentially could want to run, right? So I talked about this guy, Namek. Goku's going to link very well with the Trunks and Vegeta. You could link him up with Carnival Goku. You could link him up with LR Goku and Gohan. So if you're running like a stacking event with a, you know, a tech unit at the end, like this guy might be a premium option there, right? So this is a guy you could run. You know, UI Goku still has a place. So either the UI Gokus, they could be a rotation. You could just run them as floating dodge units. UI Goku could definitely be there. Kaioken Goku is not going to link the craziest, but like he's an option you can run that's very good. STR Vegito, he's a little bit of a glass cannon, but still really solid, right? Some people even still like this Gohan. This would be like the Heavenly Events Gohan you can run if you want to have that other AGL Gohan. Obviously, like both of the Year 7 units are here, so you can run Year 7s. You've got a whole bunch of Super Saiyan 4s. So if for some reason you want to run Vegeta and Trunks and then just do like LR Super Saiyan 4 rotation, like you could do that, right? It's not probably the most ideal team setup, but you could do it. These are all very good units, right? You know, Physical Bardock LR is still kind of solid. Tech Gogeta, very good unit. There's the other UI Goku. We've got the Year 3 LRs are both on this team. Like, they're solid. I think Transforming Goku's still a solid unit. There's just, like, a bajillion options, right? Namek Goku I still think is very good. STR Ultimate Gohan, solid. You know, the Blue Boys, they've definitely aged, but sure, if you want to run them, you can run them. You can just see there's just a million options. You could run Evolution Blue Vegeta as a rotation with, like, the Int LR. That's a viable rotation. This STR Goku Gohan's very good. I do believe this one is Heavenly Events. Let me double check that. Yes, they are on Heavenly Events as well. So if you want to do a team build that's more like you really like that AGL Gohan, you could throw this STR Goku Gohan and then even have AGL Gohan and have some Heavenly Events floating around if you really wanted to. You know, once again, for that Super Saiyan 4, if you want to do more of that Dragon Ball Heroes, you've got Super Saiyan 4 Bardock and Gohan are hanging around. Obviously, we got to toss out this guy. This guy's a god on any team. Like, you could just let him sit there and stack defense with his guard. Once again, if you're building uber defensive and you're willing to put this guy in rotation, now I think he's going to link pretty poorly with Vegeta and Trunks. But if you can get by and like not worry about the linking and just focus on stacking the defense, like sure, you could go ahead and throw this guy down if you really, really wanted to, right? So once again, just a bajillion million units on Bond of Parent-Child. I even wanted to throw out like Bola. If you're doing more of like a Vegeta family-centric build, like she definitely could work. Especially if you could squeeze on like one more peppy gal. Maybe STR Chi-Chi, something like that. I don't know. The other unit, they're not a peppy gal, but a unit I don't have that I should probably throw out is Dokkanfest Pan. I think Dokkanfest Pan could possibly work on these team builds as well. You just have to do the right composition, right? So anyways, I could talk forever about all these Bond of Parent-Child units. So anyways, guys, there you go. There are some team builds for Vegeta and Trunks. Let me know what you think. If you need help with team building, hop into my Discord. We have a team building channel in there. It'd be very nice to see you join. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you all on the next one.